Welcome back. Let's catch you up on a couple stories that should be on your radar today. It's time for rapid fire, and there's a lot of news to get to. Here to break down all the headlines, Julia Borston is in the house. Welcome, Dom Chu and Kate Rogers. What brings you here, by the way?
Advertising week in New York.
Oh,
a lot of big
right.
panels and things going on. And
lots of fun announcements, which we will get to. But first, let's talk some Nike. The shares hitting a new all-time high today on a big earnings beat and strong global growth for the fiscal first quarter. And analysts said this was supposed to be the toughest quarter of the year, but the retailer showing no signs of a trade war hangover. It had 27% year-on-year sales growth in Greater China. There's the online sales at 42%. The CEO cited product innovation like the Joyride sneakers and a boost in e-commerce as tailwinds. Pretty good performance for a company that could have gotten caught up in some anti-American sentiment in China.
Certainly. So that's something that we also watch, obviously, in the restaurant space. Hasn't really shown up there as well. So I think it's interesting to see a retailer performing well in China. Another thing that I thought was interesting here, they're charging full price for items and consumers are paying. So, people are willing to pay a little bit more for these Nike products. So the great American consumer, once again,
and
not feeling a recession fear yet.
Totally in a strategy shift where they're saying they're trying to send less product through the outlet in places that hurt margins and more in direct to consumer.
And it's DTC working. Is the reason why. And the number that I keyed on more in this release, more than any other one, was the gross margins number. And that margin is getting better specifically because of those fuller priced items being put through to direct to consumer channels. Where Nike, if you go on their website, does still discount things. But we're not talking about DSW. We're not talking about those places that put like the deep discounts on things. So as you start to watch those profit margins improve, one of the signs that it's even getting better and can be sustained is that the American consumer really is going to start paying full price for those things and continue to do so.
And no one's mentioned Amazon. This is an American retail brand that has managed to really stand on its own, not be reliant on Amazon, and not have to deal with what some executives have called the FANG tax, the idea that they're so reliant on that distribution method.
The FANG tax, is that what they call it?
Yes, that's what Tim Armstrong has called it, as he's trying to build these smaller direct-to-consumer businesses, because you really see, if you're a big retailer, you either have to sell through Amazon or you're paying, for ads on Facebook and Google and others. So the idea that Nike is such a powerful brand.
They can do it on their own.
Yeah.
Interesting. Next up, the FTC is suing online dating service company Match Group. The owner of Tinder and Match.com, the government is alleging that Match used deceptive and unfair practices, claiming, for example, that it used fake love interest ads to trick thousands of consumers into signing up for paid Match.com subscriptions. It also highlights the challenging cancellation process, citing a Match company presentation where its own executives acknowledged that it's, quote, hard to find, tedious, and confusing. Members often think they've canceled when they have not and ended up with unwanted renewals. The current process they posted takes over 6 clicks.
That's stickiness.
But they regret putting that one in writing for the presentation, right?
Exactly.
Here's the evidence.
So we've talked about how well Match has done lately with Tinder. A lot of, I would say an impressive move overall for the shares. The question is, how much of a setback is this to the business if they're basically saying not only did we kind of catch you doing some nefarious things, but does it cut to the core of what makes you good?
Well, look, I'm going to read a little bit of the comment from the company. They said the FTC has misrepresented internal emails, relied on cherry-picked data to make outrageous claims, and we intend to vigorously defend ourselves against these claims in court. It's also worth noting that the issue is with Match, the app, the subscription app, and that Match Group also owns a number of other services, including OkCupid, Tinder, and others. But I think this really cuts the heart of online dating. It's an emotional process. People are angry if it doesn't work out. They're annoyed if they can't unsubscribe immediately. So I don't think it's entirely surprising that the consumers would get angry.
And part of it, as I understand, was that Match also was using fake kind of leads to say, oh, you have a Match interest.
You've struck interest from somebody. Exactly.
Which
you have a hypothetical,
I mean, you're preying on people.
And you need to subscribe in order to hear from this hypothetical person.
Right.
I said to Julia as we were coming out, it's like Match was catfishing its own people. That's like the whole online dating myth, right? Is like you're getting catfished. Are these people really who they say they are? And like the company was the one doing it. That is just not
I would say this. I mean, the headlines here are pretty astounding. Obviously, anytime a federal regulator goes after you for certain business practices, that's big. But let's not forget, this is a company that just since, I want to say, the beginning of August, has now lost a quarter of its market value since then. And a lot of that has not to do with the lawsuits, but competitive pressures because people like Facebook are getting into this. So you talk about the FANG tax. This is like the FANG complete, FANG tax.
And it'll be interesting, but with Facebook, part of what could make it creepy is that everybody on Facebook, but it's a real benefit here if you can trust that it is an authentic lead. Or I was thinking about LinkedIn too, at least when you get all those emails saying so-and-so wants to connect to LinkedIn, 9 times out of 10, you know who they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real question here for Match is they have the advantage of owning a portfolio of these services, something for everybody. The question is whether Facebook could really eat into their business or whether there really are underlying concerns about the authenticity of these matches.
I know those who will liken this to Facebook and Instagram's successful emulation of what happened with Snapchat features. And so they're saying that if they can do this, the one thing that Tinder Match has going for it is that they have the dominant brand position in online dating. But that's something that Snapchat had with its platform that Instagram successfully infiltrated and then could take over as well.
And that is the perfect segue to our next story, because Snapchat today announced it's expanding its slate of original content on its app. It's adding 8 new shows. They're going to air on the Discover page this fall, and they include 2 new documentary series on controversial rapper, how do I even say it, Tekashi 6ix9ine, and transgender beauty icon Nikita Dragon. While shares of Netflix just turned negative for the year, guys, shares of Snap are at more than 200% this year. They have tripled.
It's amazing.
I mean, it's amazing because Facebook has copied so many of their most popular features, and Snap is still differentiated. Snap showed in its last quarter that it could still grow. We'll see what they announce in their next quarter. But what I think is key here with this original content is this content business originally started out as something to distract people when they're waiting for their friends to message them back. Now they're proving it can be a standalone business. People will come to watch these shows, and the ads are in a different context than ads on Facebook or Instagram, because it's not about user-generated content. The ad buyers know what they're getting into. They know what the context is going to be, and they can feel protected in a world where sometimes there's content on, say, YouTube that is more questionable.
Right, because I mean, it's just such a crowd. Every day we talk about new streaming shows launching on a new platform.
And I think what they were saying in the article here is that the viewers that are going to actually watch these are more invested than they are when they're simply just scrolling through a feed. I am not on Snapchat, so I've never gone to one of these pages to watch this content, but I guess people are more interested and invested in it.
90% of teenagers effectively that are on the Snap platform, which I believe, just from the teenagers in the neighborhood. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they've really maintained that demographic hold despite the fact that Instagram is also so popular.
Yeah, and again, the difference between their performance and Netflix this year is astounding. Next up, it's being called the Peloton for Food. Discovery today announcing that it's launching a direct-to-consumer subscription cooking platform. Okay, get all this. 25 live weekly cooking classes, 800 classes on demand, and you can access the app on Amazon devices that can populate your Amazon cart for the specific ingredients in a recipe. Even can get you the utensils you might need to make it. All this for $7 a month.
This is one of the biggest examples, and I think, and I'm just going to make a prediction, one of the more successful examples of how you can integrate all of these processes together for one user platform.
Because here's my only point. There are so many free cooking things on YouTube.
Sure.
Why would people pay to be part of a live version of this?
Because it's the same thing with Peloton. When you have an ecosystem where there are stars, and believe it or not, there are stars when it comes to fitness instruction. There are stars when it comes to people
food, absolutely.
When it comes to food, there certainly is. So what you're taking is a platform where there are personalities who have followings, and those followers want to be part of that whole ecosystem as well. And now you're enabling them to transact with it as well. So Amazon has provided the commerce platform. Food Network has the brand power. All of a sudden, you have a way to just cross-sell everything.
And Discovery also gets a cut if you buy stuff on Amazon,
so this
which is super interesting.
And this wraps up that whole Nike direct-to-consumer success, because that's where the real success lies in this whole process.
And I think the key thing here is Discovery is a smaller media company compared to the likes of Disney, Comcast, CNBC's parent company, as well as AT&T, which now owns Warner Media. Discovery is a small player compared to them. And while all of them are focused on duking it out over rights to Friends.
$500 million for these libraries.
These libraries and these content deals with the big TV producers, Discovery's going in a different direction.
I would say this. I'm a golfer, and many people know this about me. Discovery is also the one that inked that big deal with Tiger Woods to start producing original content for Golf TV. They have a partnership with Golf Digest. So these guys are inking partnership deals that can help them compete on a much larger scale with the guys spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
And I could see when they launched that Magnolia channel, it's like, hey, come be sign up, pay to be part of a live class with Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Oh, I'd pay for that. I mean, I need all the help I can get, actually, so $7 a month doesn't sound that bad. If you're willing to pay for that, too, I'm sure sure you're willing to just buy the stuff on Amazon right away because you're probably feeling a little desperate if you're signing up for this in the first place.
I'm with you. I'm one of those people.
And the idea, though, is it's not going to have as big of an audience as, say, a Netflix or even a Disney Plus, but it's going to have a dedicated audience. You're passionate about golf. You may be passionate about home decor or cooking, and they're going to get
spend it.
And you'll spend the money.
Yes.
And they don't need as many people. They just want to make sure they hit those
more profitable. Before we go, and this is relevant, another thing you can do on Alexa is get a job at McDonald's. They just launched the first ever voice-activated job application. Take a listen.
Alexa, can you tell me about the new McDonald's skill?
Happy to. McDonald's now has a skill that lets you start a job application. Would you like to go through the McDonald's apply through?
The process is
called awesome.
apply through. But how many people are really going to do this?
So remember, McDonald's has done a few creative things in order to get people to apply. They teamed up with the AARP this summer for all of those seasonal jobs. This is a way to get younger people interested in applying for what will probably be their first job. You can't complete the entire process with Alexa or the Google Assistant. You have to supply your phone number. Then they'll text you a link to complete the application process. But we've seen McDonald's do quite a few interesting things in the tech space as well. Remember, just a few weeks ago, we were talking about them building out their team in Silicon Valley.
Oh,
so I think that's also connected
They're
here.
totally tech first. I'm just thinking again through the cause and effect here. Or maybe if the Alexa said to you, hey, do you want it? McDonald's is looking for, I mean, how are they really going to get
I'm
people
all for anything that gets you a job easier. That's what I would say.
Of course, but do you really think this is going to be a way, maybe?
Your mom's supposed to drop you off there. You have to like sheepishly ask for the application. This is a rite of passage. No, I mean, it's a creative way to get young people thinking, and it's easy.
True.
You know?
And easy wins every time. Guys, thank you all. Good stuff. Really appreciate it. Julia Borston, Dom Chu, and Kate Rogers.